Hey folks, I promised you a second video about how my kitchen caulking ended up going. So I'm going to show you that. I actually just made this video a second ago, but because Zoom is so freaking stupid, and it brought up the how was your experience window, which I tried to close out. It didn't close it out. It closed out the conversion of my recording. So thank you, Zoom, for being so stupid. Um, Anyway, first off, I want to let you know kind of how much caulk to buy. So this is a 5.5 ounce container that I bought at Home Depot. Um, you can get similar at Walmart if you need to, but they don't have DAP brand, and I really wanted DAP brand because it operates really well from everything that I had heard, and it did indeed operate really well. This is the Quick Seal Ultra. You'll hear about some other DAP brands too that people use, but this works really perfectly fine. Advanced silicone sealant is what it says, 100% waterproof and lifetime mold protection, which is great if you have mold illnesses or if you don't want to get a mold illness. I recommend not getting one. So this is how much I've used. This is mostly full in here. So you can see I probably used about 2 ounces, and that has covered, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 yards and some, about 14 feet in my kitchen. And then another 3.5 yards in my bathroom. And then I still have the bottom seam of the bathtub to go. That will be a little bit different process in video because it has grout there rather than caulk. And so I'll need to prepare it a little bit differently. So we're not going to count that yet. So it's about 2 ounces for, give or take 25 to 30 feet. So I hope that's helpful in understanding what to buy. This is gloss white. We've talked about this before. You can really only buy white or clear. Occasionally almond you can find in squeezy bottles. Everything else you have to get a caulk gun for. If you're thinking that that is going to help your dexterity, it may or may not, because you still have to pull the lever and have some hand strength to do that. I have always found them rather heavy and unwieldy myself. I've never loved using one. I haven't used them a lot, but also because I don't need that much. And even though you are spending less per ounce for the tube that you're spending about half as much per ounce if you buy a caulk tube, but then you have to buy the caulking gun, which is 10 or 15 or maybe even $20. And the caulking tube is a little bit more expensive than this little tube here. So, so that is also to say that if you had a smaller tube, which Walmart sells as kind of the standard size, that would probably be fine for this kind of job, for a kitchen and bathroom, as long as you're not doing, any, you don't need the amount that a caulking tube would provide in a caulking gun, unless you are, redoing your molding, doing a whole house, that kind of thing. Okay. So number two, I'm going to show you how it went. First off, I'll show you because I'm in this corner. This is the part I did last in the last video that you're never going to see. But this right here is your corner. This is caulking I did not change because they did such a freaking great job on it. So I did not want to change it if I didn't have to, and because I haven't done a great job in the kitchen. The kitchen presents a special kind of challenge ergonomically because you really have to lean a lot, and you do not get to decide which side you go in from. And so your strong side doesn't matter in the kitchen very much. You don't get to be the boss of that. In the bathtub, you really do, because as long as you can get in the bathtub, I mean, I don't know how you're going to get out, but if you can get in the bathtub, you can decide which angle you do the caulking from, according to what your personal body strength is. So you saw I just went in a little bit on the one in the corner there, but this is that corner is never seen in normal life because I always have dishes here. This is my dish drying area. So But you'll see also, and I'm sorry I don't have a better light for you, but when I turn on more light, then there's so much glare that it's really difficult for you to see anything. So all of this here is recaulked. This is probably the dirtiest part in the group of efforts that I made. But keep in mind, you really can't do any cleanup after the first, like, definitely 1 minute, probably like 30 seconds to be safe, because this is silicone and it sets really fast. So you can do your little finger swipe. The first effort I did on this, I did do painter's tape on the bottom. I did not do it on the top. I just didn't feel quite up to that. But the second time I did not. And I think that did okay. The second time around seems to be easier than the first. I do have a couple of teeny tiny bubbles. I really tried to get rid of them, but I just could not. So what I will do then, yeah, you can't really see them on the camera, but I can see them. Because they are right behind the sink, I do want to make sure that those bubbles are sealed, so that no moisture and then later mold can get in the middle of that, because I'm real mold sensitive. So what I will do is, I did buy some clear caulk in case I needed it, but I find that clear caulk is sort of all the bad parts of using caulk without any of the good parts. Like, the good part is that it gives a clean line. Well, you don't get that with a clear caulk. The bad part is it's goopy and kind of unseemly, and it looks sort of gluey. Well, so does clear caulk. So what I'll probably do is not open the clear caulk, so then I can return it, and instead use my E6000 industrial strength glue that will, survive us all. And just close that up with just the end of a Q-tip. Maybe the soft side, maybe not the soft side. I might break it in half and use the hard side. So you can see this looks not bad at this point. I just dropped something. You can see right here, this is an example of where the tile has a little seam and a little opening here. So I don't really want that opening. Even though it's in a low traffic area, I'm going to use that glue on it as well. I don't want that white caulk coming up here because that would look messy. But where these seams are, I will just add a little bit of that E6000 glue. Now, finally, over here, this is a thinner, I don't know if you can see it, but this is a thinner finish of the caulk. And I don't love that, but I can't seem to fix it too well either. So I'm just going to leave it. As long as your caulk looks clean, it can be good to, like, quit while you're ahead kind of thing on this stuff. So I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. And it's going to dry. It's going to cure over the next 24 hours. But don't do anything major. Like, don't fry. Don't, like, boil a bunch of stuff. Don't, like, make stock tonight or anything and create steam particles or fat particles in your kitchen. Give it a good 3 days. If you want to be really safe and, like, never do this again. Okay. So the idea is to do it really better than the last person did it if you can, so that you don't ever really have to think about it again. I mean, silicone is like that. You don't really have to repair it very often. So this could easily last a good 10 years, maybe 20, maybe 30. So if you don't like caulking, then, if you can, just take your time. This is a pretty disability friendly project. Everybody has their own stuff going on in their body. So, do it the way you have to do it. But there are a lot of steps to this that are each fairly simple, I'd say, except for the first round of putting that caulking on. I did have some hand trouble today, and so what I did in this second round, and this also actually kept it much cleaner, as you've seen, is I just went about half to 1 tile's worth, and a tile is about 15 inches. So we're talking 7 to 15 inches at a time, never more than that. Because in the kitchen, it's such a bugaboo. It's hard. Even if you're sitting on the counter, you've got, cabinets to deal with. Like, you can't get in there real easy. So, and because the silicone dries pretty fast, What it's not going to do, what you're going to worry it's going to do, but it's not going to do, is as long as you can smooth it out with your finger, and the finger seems to be the best way to do it, at least if you have kind of small adult fingers anyway. Um, you're not going to have so much caulk on there that you're going to start smearing it everywhere if you only have 7 or 15 inches to work with, even if you kind of loaded it on accident. So it's a safe way to do it. And if you pull it, sometimes it likes to be pulled toward the last caulking you did. Sometimes it likes to be pulled away from it. Just, figure it out. Just listen to it and do what it says. And then you will be able to, when you have, then you'll be able to control that drag and the little pockets that can develop otherwise. You'll have a smoother finish because it will go right into there while it's, and then it will cure, and then you're going to do the next 7 or 8 inches and on and on. If I had it to do over again, that's definitely what I would have done from the first caulking round forward. But I just kept thinking that I would mess that up. I kept thinking that that would create it. I'd see a seam every 7 or so inches. And my experience has been that that is not how it goes. It's much easier to do it that little bit at a time. So take your time, do a little bit at a time. And I hope that this is helpful. I will say I watched a lot of caulking videos before before doing my caulking, and something I was very convinced of that was going to work for me because it makes sense to me in my mind is pushing the caulk instead of pulling the caulk toward me. Okay, pushing the caulk away from me in my squeezy bottle instead of toward me. That was not my experience, and maybe it's because of my low strength level. But pushing it, I could not see it as well if I wasn't pulling it. And I also just did not find it put too much caulk into the area. So I was more likely to lose a lot of caulk. I mean, I don't care about wasting it per se, but it would make smears more likely. So I really found that pulling it was a better fit for me. And I get the physics of why pushing should work better. But I think it may depend on your body. I think there may be bodies that work better that way. So you might try the pushing at the very beginning and just see how it goes for you, because it really should push it into that corner better and seal it better. But if you have real low upper body strength, I just don't think it's going to happen that way. So anyway, over and out. Hope this is helpful to somebody. This is Disabled DIY at the Messy Homestead.